So after a while having the job, he decides it's time to settle down and starts looking for a wife. Now this bloke could have had any bird in London because of his fame, but he set his eyes on the most beautiful woman in all of London, and he had to have her, so he tried courting her. Well, he was famous and made good money, so it wasn't that much of a courting. She agreed, he fell in love, they got married, and soon after they had a kid. Unfortunately, by the time his son actually popped out, our mustachioed friend was actually very unhappy because he realized, well, he hated his job, and he'd married, and I guess the polite way to put it, a teetotal bitch. See, she couldn't keep the bottle out of one hole and couldn't keep her legs across the other, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So, he married a drunken whore, has a job he hates, and now has a son that he has no idea what to do with. And he's upset and he's just falling apart. Well, one night he's at the pub talking to his friend who's a rider, and he's telling him his problems, and he's trying to get his friend to give him some advice. Well, his friend's not a fucking psychoanalyst, he's just a rider, so he tells his friend, you know what I do? I write my problems down in my journal.
I mean, what's that gonna do?
I don't fucking know, some people find it therapeutic to write. Anyway, our mustachioed friend goes back and gets him a journal and he starts writing down stuff, and after a couple of weeks he's so obsessed with it he realizes he's written his entire life story up to the moment he puts down the pen. And he stops and looks at it and he starts rereading it, and he comes to thinking that his entire problem comes from his mustache, because it's what got him the watch, it's what got him the job, and it's what got him the woman, which led to the son. He doesn't know what to do, so he sits down and he thinks about it, and the next morning he decides to get rid of the problem and shave off his mustache. And, well, needless to say, that caused some problems because he was no longer had the thing that made him famous. So he lost his job, drunk bitch ran off on him, and he's stuck with a son that he doesn't know how to raise. He eventually ends up working on the boat docks like his father did. He can't raise a kid, so he just takes his kid to the docks when he's old enough and starts making him work. Well, this goes on for a couple of years, and our protagonist is happier, but he still doesn't feel like he's complete, until one day his son asks if he can see his father's watch. And as he's reaching into his pocket to pull out the watch, he looks at it for the first time since he actually got it, and he comes to the sudden click and realization that this watch is what caused all his problems because of his obsession over it. And he starts thinking about it, and he gets upset because this watch is what robbed him of his childhood and set in points of action that completely ruined his life. And then he looks at his son and realizes that the same thing could happen to his son, and he's never given his son a childhood himself. I mean, he stole his childhood, put him on the docks. He didn't know how to raise a kid. He gets so angry, he just holds off and throws it into the river and starts brandishing his fist at it and just cussing at the world. Well, naturally, his son's a little concerned because his dad just put fucking psychotic in front of him and asks him if his dad's alright. His dad turns to him with tears in his eyes and takes him in a big old hug and says, it's alright now, son, everything will be alright. And he pushes his son back and holds him by the shoulders, and he starts apologizing profusely for taking away his son's childhood and not giving it to him and making him work all this time. And so he tells his son to go and play, be a child, fly kites, play pirates, play Indians, and just run off. And so that evening he goes home after his son's had a lovely day and comes and tells him about this great childhood experience he's had. He starts writing his journal like he's used to, and he finishes off with the day, and he suddenly realizes that he no longer reads the journal because he solved the problem. And he thinks about it, and without that journal, he would never have solved his problem. So he thinks back to his friend, he owes all of this to his friend. So he meets his friend at the pub, gives him the journal and says thank you, buys him a drink, and that's pretty much the end of his part of the story.
Jeff, wait!
What do you want?
You really don't remember, do you?
I remember what?
So the friend gets the journal, and he reads it, and he almost gets an obsession himself because he's so touched by his friend's story, he decides that he's going to make a children's story based off this. And our mustachioed friend who wrote the journal becomes the antagonist of this story, and he's a child's character that you know very well.
Who?
Well, can you think of a captain with a very nice mustachio? Maybe one hook on his hand? Terrified of clocks?
No.
Peter Pan's arch nemesis, Captain Hook.
Wow. Kind of fucks up some childhood memories.
What do you remember about the war?
Everything.
Tell me a story.
I mean, what, you want to hear when I saw my best friend die, or maybe when I accidentally killed a child?
It's up to you.
All right. It was dark. No, it was light. The sun was in my eyes, and I was alone. Jimmy was there, and we were...
Maybe it didn't work out quite as well as I thought.
What are you talking about?
So that story cheer you up, Jeff?
Yeah, it kind of did.
Well, thank you very much. But now, as they say, a deal is a deal. What's troubling you?
Oh. There you go.
No, thank you very much.
Okay. Well, it's about a girl.
Well, I'm sorry, friend, but isn't it always?
It's funny, isn't it?
What are you talking about?
What unit were you in?
234. You know that.
Where were you born?
Omaha, Nebraska. Wait, I wasn't born in Omaha, Nebraska.
What was your rank?
Staff sergeant. How are you doing this? This girl, she
It's all right, man. Go on.
well, she helped me to find who I really am. I was lost and for a long time. I thought I was. Now I know what I'm supposed to do,
That doesn't sound so bad.
but I'm not done yet.
Well, please.
You sure you want to know?
I don't see why not.
Well, Samuel Matlock. My name is Jeffrey Tummins. 17 years ago, you made love to a woman, and she conceived a child named Julie. I've been dating Julie for some time, and I gotta say she's doing pretty fine without you. Now, here's the rub. Julie thinks you know some things, and I've come here to make sure you never tell those things to the people who want to know them.
As soon as Julie told me how she had been watching her father and had found the truth about me, I knew what I had to do. These things they did to me, I had to make sure no one else found out, so I silenced the father and agency operative assigned to watch me and report on my progress. And now, I've got to do the same to the daughter. No one can ever know that I was a part of MKUTLRA.